We want to speak with you about the sanctions.
For months, BBCI has been investigating settlers waging a campaign of intimidation
I'm not touching you.
Don't touch me.
and harassment against Palestinians. We reveal how an organization with ties to the Israeli government has supported radical settlers and their growing presence in the West Bank. A family is being forced out of their home in the Hamra area of the occupied West Bank. They say they are being threatened by a Jewish settler. Aisha and Nabil Shtaya are now staying at their son Muhammad's house, 10 kilometers away.
اسمع انا بدي احكي لك اياها مره واحده. انت في لك يومين تسيب المنطقه اللي انت موجود فيها وترجع البلد.
هذا غير شرطة بيت يابا. يا انه هذا موسى هو بتخوث علي وبكل انه انا شرطة.
هو مستوطن اسمه موشي. بس احنا من كل موسى. طرنا من المنطقة. احنا بدنا نرجع على بيتنا. المكت والمرار اللي احنا فيه وحدا فيه. انا داي بنتفضن. بحكي معك وانا على اعصابي.
The person the Shtaya family accuse of leading the violence against them is this settler, Moshe Sharvit. He's become known in the area for his aggressive actions against Palestinians, frequently captured in mobile phone footage filmed by peace activists. Since the war in Gaza began, locals say Moshe is responsible for forcing families, including the Shtiyas, to leave the Hamra area. But Moshe paints a different picture of his presence here.
מפה בני ישראל בעצם נכנסו לארץ, אפשר לראות שהמקום הזה הוא מאוד רחב. אנחנו פה כדי לשמור על הקרקעות והאדמות שנשארו מופקרות עד שבאנו.
He is part of a movement to expand Israeli territory that began decades ago. In 1967, following a war with its Arab neighbors, Israel occupied the West Bank and Gaza. Not long after, Israelis began establishing settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories, claiming a historical and religious connection to the land. There are now more than 140 urban settlements across the West Bank, where more than 500,000 Jewish settlers live, amongst 3 million Palestinians. But Moshe Sharvit's farm is different. It's what's known as a herding outpost. It gives settlers access to vast areas of land, which has led to violent confrontations with Palestinian communities.
Most of the settlers in the West Bank are Israeli citizens which pay taxes, do their military service, and are law keepers citizens, okay? They don't break the law.
Avi Mizrahi is a former head of the Israeli army in the West Bank.
Whenever you put outposts illegally in the area, it brings tension with the Palestinians that are living in the same area.
Most urban settlements have been approved by Israel's government and are legal under Israeli law. But outposts like Moshe Sharvit's don't have government approval and are therefore illegal under Israeli law. Many are subject to demolition orders, but these are rarely carried out. The UN says both settlements and outposts are illegal under international law. Israel disputes this.
נלחמים בטרור תמיד ומביאים בעזרת השם ביטחון לכל מדינת ישראל.
While ultra-nationalist settlers were once at the fringes of Israeli politics, today they hold key positions in Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition government. Their political rise has been a boost to extremist settlers living in outposts.
הזכות שלי, של אשתי, של הילדים שלי, להסתובב בכבישי יהודה ושומרון, יותר חשוב מזכות התנועה של הערבים. סליחה מוחמד, אבל זו המציאות, זו האמת, זכות החיים שלי קודמת לזכות.
These politicians aim to establish new outposts all over the West Bank and to expand existing ones, like the outpost Havot Yair. We heard about an event organized by local settlers. They described it as a hike. But they had a clear message to the Palestinians living in the town of Qrawat Bani Hassan opposite.
מה שחשוב זה הנוכחות פה כל הזמן. לטייל, להראות נוכחות, להרחיק אותם. אנחנו יישוב בלי גדר בכוונה, שהם לא ידעו לאן הם יכולים להגיע. אנחנו בהר שממול חוות יאיר, זה היישוב חוות יאיר. קיים משהו כמו 22 שנים, עוד מעט 23. אנחנו היינו המשפחה החמישית שהגיעה לפה. אנחנו נקראים היום ההתיישבות הצעירה. זה אומר שעדיין אין לנו אישורים חוקיים לבנייה. זה אומר שאם אני רוצה לבנות בית בחוות יאיר, אני לא יכולה להגיש בקשה לקבל משכנתה. זה נראה יישוב פסטורלי ויפה ושטחים במחירים מוזלים, אבל אנחנו באמת, כל דבר שקורה פה, אנשים מוצאים ממש מהכסף הפרטי שלהם.
איפה מתפללים? The youth are telling us where to go.
וזה תמיד היה איזה חלום כזה, להרחיב את ההתיישבות ולגור. עכשיו אנחנו גם באמת רואים בזה חשיבות, זאת אומרת, יש כאן חשיבות לתפוס קרקעות, להתיישב, זה הקרקעות שלנו.
Havot Yair began as a small outpost with just a few families. Today, there are around 100 Israeli families living there. The hope for its residents is that eventually the Israeli government grants Havot Yair legal status, making it an official settlement. For the first time since they were forced to leave their home, Aisha and her husband are trying to return. They are joined by Israeli peace activists.
There's Moshe Sharvit, there's the settler that resides here in this outpost. He's trying to confiscate all this land.
This is land Palestinian farmers say they own and have been cultivating for decades.
هاي الأرض كل سنة بنحرثها كمح، يعني هذا مرزقنا. من ال 53 اشترينا أبوي وزيادي وعمامي من الحكومة الأردنية يشتروها. شوف تعمل شو بتسوي في البيت.
الله ينتقم منه شو سويت فيه؟ والله ما أذيته. والله ما طبيت فيه. شو سويت فيه تسوي فيه؟ يا ما تصير خاطره. كله مفجره. موسى طروني تحت سلاح، حط سلاح في راسي. بكام 50 سنة هنا هون، 50 سنة 50 سنة 50 سنة.
It's not long before the Israeli army and police arrive at the scene. They tell the Palestinians and Israeli peace activists to leave the area.
شوف البيت خرابة خرابة.
Yesterday, we for the first time announced some sanctions against violent settlers who were carrying out criminal acts in the West Bank.
Moshe Shavit was one of the settlers sanctioned by the UK and later the US and the EU for violence and harassment against Palestinians. Just weeks after the measures were announced, a local camera crew filmed an open day at his farm. Speaking candidly, Moshe lays out the strategy behind his outpost.
תופסים פה כמה אלפי דונמים, זה סדר גודל של עיר לא קטנה. אם מישהו מבין קצת למספרים של דונמים, 7,000 דונם זה אין סוף.
כל מה שנסענו זה שלכם?
לא שלנו, זה של עם ישראל. הצרה הכי גדולה שקרתה לנו זה שבנינו יישובים, התקענו בתוך הגדרות ולא יצאנו החוצה. בסוף המרחב זה הדבר הכי חשוב פה, בסוף החווה הזאת היא חשובה מאוד. אבל מה שהכי חשוב לנו זה השטח סביבנו.
هذه المستوطنات أو هذه البؤر لا يمكن أن تحيا لحياة، لابد أن هناك حركات حقيقية وجمعيات تقوم برعايتها وتمويلها. هذه الجمعيات معروفة لدينا الكثير من الجمعيات التي فعلا بالتوثيق تثبت تورطها في دعم هؤلاء المستوطنين.
A key body supporting settlers is the World Zionist Organization, or WZO. It's been around for more than a century and was instrumental in the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948. One of its key departments is the Settlement Division, which describes itself as an arm of the Israeli state.
It's a body which runs very big part of a land which had been expropriated by the Israeli authorities in the West Bank to different Israeli settlements or settlers.
The Settlement Division doesn't publish details about its individual dealings with settlers. But contracts obtained by the settlement watchdog Peace Now help us understand more. They show how the Settlement Division allocates large areas of land for grazing and farming throughout the West Bank. But the contracts forbid the building of any structures. One of them is for an area we know well, Hamra.
What you see here, you can see this is the contract between the WZO, and a settler which will hide his name. And you can see this is the area which was allocated to him, the red stains on the map, This is here, this is where we are right now. There's only one settler here in the area where it's heard, which is Moshe Sharvit.
The name in the document is redacted. We cannot be sure if it's Moshe Sharvit's contract, but the date matches when he arrived in the area. But we have also found evidence of the WZO allocating land to two other settlers that have set up illegal outposts and who've later been sanctioned internationally. Israel doesn't publish official figures for the number of illegal outposts. But the BBC has analysed data on outposts from settler watchdogs, organisations and the Palestinian Authority, verifying each location using satellite imagery, social media posts and Israeli government publications. We have independently verified that almost 200 illegal outposts have been established in the last 30 years, almost half of them since 2019. The UN's top court has said all settlements in the West Bank are illegal under international law. Israel rejects this. After repeated attempts to speak with Moshe Sharvit, we decided to visit his outpost to question him directly.
I think there is a gate.
Yeah, there's a gate. That's as far as we're going to get.
We want to speak with you about the sanctions. We've spoken to a lot of the Palestinian families here who say that you've used violence on them, forced them out of their homes. What do you have to say? It was definitely you. We filmed you. We've spoken to a Palestinian woman who says you put a gun to her head. So will you let the Palestinian families return to this area?
More than 5 months after being forced to leave their home, Aisha and Nabil try to return once more. Today, Moshe Sharvit's brother David arrives to meet them.
بصور بدنا نصوره واحنا الثانيين مازال هو بصور
جيش
لا نحن بقى
بدي اطلع على البيت اذا سمحت هون صور هون مش بدك تطخ انا بحب الموت اطلع على البيت انا وياك في السياره
يا فيتو تحت بيتي
بديش بدي اروح على البيت مش حرام عليك انا اجيب واعيين